Today I F up by almost revealing I started writing my vows. My 29F boyfriend Alex, 28M, have been together for 3 years and living together for over 2. We both agree on and plan to get married, but we want to be more financially stable first. We've never had a fight, just a few very calm disagreements, and our communication is great 99.9% of the time. This is all to establish that as far as I can tell we have a very healthy relationship, and I'm not totally crazy for doing this. I have a tendency to plan out things that I want to say in my head, but have a terrible memory, so I write them down. I'm also one of those people who always dreamed of getting married. I was single for a lot of my young adult life, and had started to be convinced it would never happen. Then I met Alex, and was absolutely blown away by happiness. I've never known love like this, and we've weathered a few complex life events with no problems. My friends and family love him, his friends and family love me. Aside from normal life chaos, things are great. Now, to the meat of the story. A month or so ago, I couldn't sleep, and my brain had already been in the mode of, I wonder what our wedding would look like. Which isn't super common, but happens. I then thought down the path of what I would say for vows. To be fair, I've been to a handful of weddings but never closely studied the vows, so I'm not even 100% sure what I came up with will work, but my brain generated something that sounded like the perfect little speech before leading into the I promise to part. I'm not a writer, and usually don't come up with things that pretty, so I wrote it down in my notes app. Fast forward to last night. Alex was at a concert with friends. I had plans to meet up with one of my best friends, Jess. They're also in a happy long-term relationship, and have also been thinking about wedding stuff in general. While talking, I, without thinking, said something along the lines of, I even kind of started writing my vows, so. They freaked out and of course wanted to read what I had, and I know they wouldn't tell Alex, so I showed them. Jess of course started crying, saying they loved it. The conversation continued. I went home, and Alex got home from his concert too. Here's where I went wrong. I'm terrible with secrets and lies. Ever since I was a kid and had a lie bite me in the ass, I just don't. I've found life to be better when open and honest. Alex is also friends with Jess and asked how our hangout was. I started to say, great, but I made them cry and cut myself after, but upon realizing what he would ask next, and I don't want to lie to him. He obviously realized I had a secret and started playing 20 questions to find out what it was. Like I said, I'm horrible with secrets, and he managed to figure out that it's some sort of gift, but that he won't get it for possibly years. It's worth noting that he hates both gifts and surprises. They make him anxious, uncomfortable, and feeling indebted. This is when I knew I messed up, because once he knew something existed, I knew he would dwell on it indefinitely, and it would bother him. Yes, I could have lied and said it was something about Jess and their partner, but I was also anxious at that point and picked the wrong cover-up. After apologizing for knowing that I've created a train of thought that will bug him and trying to convince him that he would be best off forgetting I said anything, we went to bed. He said he had a dream about solving a puzzle and throughout the day has been texting me probing questions trying to figure it out. I am obviously not going to reveal any more, and I certainly won't be showing him what I wrote, but I feel bad that this will genuinely bother him for a while. Also, to anyone thinking, just tell him something but don't reveal it all, that might make things worse. We both fully plan to get married, but it's not really on our radar anytime soon, and I know he has a lot of anxiety about not feeling enough like a grown adult, especially when it comes to marriage. I should add that we both have stable careers, and he is the most emotionally intelligent man I've ever met. So other than saving money and him feeling comfortable with the idea, I don't think there are actually any roadblocks. I'm in no rush whatsoever and will happily wait until he is as enthusiastic about it as I am. If I was to reveal that it had anything to do with our future vows, it might make his anxiety worse. He doesn't mind talking about it. Weddings are a common topic with many of our friends getting married, but it's not something he thought about prior to our relationship. So discussing little details for our own wedding stresses him out a little. His brain just hasn't thought that far yet. I don't want to give him even the slightest idea that I'm trying to rush him, when in reality I'm just living the dream of my inner little girl thinking about her future wedding. TLDR. In the midst of a happy long-term relationship, I randomly thought up part of what I might want to say for my vows at our eventual wedding. My boyfriend hates surprises, and I accidentally revealed that I have a secret after I showed what I wrote to a friend. He is now going to drive himself crazy trying to figure out what it is, which I obviously will not confirm even if he does figure it out. I feel guilty for giving him an unsolvable puzzle that he'll dwell on.
Today I F up by eating too much Asian chili peppers. This just happened in the span of 24 hours. Trigger warning. If you're easily grossed out, you might want to skip ahead. I, 34M, attended a celebration party for one of my friend, and in the middle of the party, I was feeling hungry, so I went to see what the choices of the foods are. Among the many selections, I noticed on the corner of my eyes they served, as optional sides, Asian chili peppers. The way that we usually eat it is bite a portion of it after you took a bite of your food to make your food spicy. You can also use it for cooking ingredients to spice up your dish, but this time the host served it raw on a bowl. Your boy here is accustomed to eating many spicy foods throughout his life and even ate Asian chili peppers plenty of times, so this is nothing to me. I grabbed a good amount alongside my foods because I will go to town with this peppers. I noticed some people took a tiny bite off the peppers, but not me. I haphazardly bit off half of the peppers with each bite of my food, so if my math is matting, 1 pepper is good for 2 bites. I took it like a champ. Every time I get more foods, I get more of these peppers, and I swore I think I consumed more peppers than the other guests combined. Keep in mind that there's no alcohol involved to make this kind of decision, but oh boy, curse my hubris. After the party dissipates and the majority leaves, including me, the moment I arrived home, my stomach was churning, screaming, begging for me to release whatever I consumed. My gut is now in control, so I went to the toilet preparing to do my business, and this is the beginning of my realization that I screwed up majorly. The next 15 to 20 minutes were a torture session because, as you all realize, what comes in must come out. My butthole feels like the gates of hell itself. My rectum is on fire and I'm in agony. I was sweating profusely, body shaking, mind aching, and constantly afraid every time my gut is telling me to open wide. Worst part 1. I was pushing so hard and in pain at the same time that I didn't realize I gave myself hemorrhoid. After I cleaned myself up, the pain lingered, followed me wherever I go. Every time I clenched, it taunted me, told me that there's nothing I can do about the pain. It does slowly dissipated over time, which is good. Worst part 2. What I released from my newfound gates of hell is just the beginning. Apparently, my gut thinks it's funny to put me in a multiple torture session throughout my evening instead of one go, because in every 30 minutes interval it's telling me that I have to open wide again and repeat the whole Baghdad all over again. This happened in a total of 5 times, even gave me rude awakening in the middle of my sleep. I swore. I was in a fetal position in my bed, begging whatever deities that put me in this endless loop of torment to stop. Maybe I wronged someone in my past life and was now took their revenge from the gates of hell I just opened up, but I'm glad the torture is over. For now, TLDR. I was way too overconfident to consume an ungodly amount of Asian chili peppers, resulting in giving myself an endless torture session, provided by my own gut. Today I F up by slamming too many raw oysters at a seafood buffet restaurant in Vietnam. Moving to Hanoi with my girlfriend meant diving headfirst into new experiences, especially when it came to food. Vietnam's famous for killer seafood, and I'm a huge sucker for raw oysters. So, when we hit up a lively seafood buffet, I was in heaven, or so I thought. They had this oyster station that just called out to me. My girlfriend's family was all about trying everything, so I didn't hold back. Round after round, I kept piling them on my plate. Must have knocked back about a dozen. They tasted like the sea and felt like a treat from back home in Canada. Fast forward to the next day, and oh man, was I paying for it. Fever, the bathroom, my new best friend, and my stomach in absolute rebellion. Turns out, my oyster feast was a ticket to Misery Town. Here I am, still making bathroom runs and thinking about each oyster like a betrayal. It's funny and awful in equal measure. I've learned my lesson, enjoy, but maybe don't go wild at the buffet. Next time I'm craving oysters, I'll enjoy them in moderation. Gotta say, it's one for the books and definitely a story I'll be telling for a while. TLDR. I went hard on raw oysters in Hanoi. Gave my toilet a beating for the next 4 days and onwards.
Today I F up for not talking to my crush when he was making an effort to get to know me. I'm a very quiet person in general. But I especially clam up when I'm around groups of 4 or more people. There one time, I was sitting with my crush and a few of our friends at a bar. For first 30 minutes or so, he kept trying to make a little jokes at me. I was drinking my beer kind of fast, and he'd make little comments like, "Careful now." He was referencing a night before when I got super messed up, so he was just trying to make me laugh. My crush asked me why I was so quiet. I just brushed him off and gave him a generic answer. A few minutes later, he asked me what I'd like to do. I answered the question, but I didn't elaborate on my hobbies. I then asked him what he liked to do. He told me. I interpreted his attempts at conversation as a way for me to get more involved in the group. So, I started making more comments here and there, but still not very many. I don't know if he was trying to get at me, or if he just wanted to get to know me as a friend. All I know is that eventually he bought up a girl who he tried to hook up with a few days before. That girl was no longer in the picture. Maybe he thought that I wasn't interested in him, and that's why he bought her up. TLDR. I'm an introvert, and my crush started making jokes to me and asking questions about myself. I didn't open up, so he bought up a girl he hooked up with.
Big thanks to everyone who watched to the end. I really appreciate the support. And please hit the subscribe button.